Hey guys, it's Meegs again. I have my brand new burner phone with me, and I have Kimberly Arth on the line again, and we thought it was pretty important to do a bit of a wrap up, sort of, wrap up conversation about the interview that we posted. The 18-part interview. Hopefully, you guys made it through. She just had a few more things to add, and we're just, I think that she has some important things to talk about, to add on. So, Kimberly, are you there? Do I have you on speakerphone?
Yep, I'm on here.
Okay. All right. So go right ahead, Kimberly.
Okay, one of the things that we're talking about is I think people should be looking at the Ramola D video, especially what's going on with the talk about the 72-hour holds that are going on. What I'm trying to explain and what is not necessarily coming out much of this is people are being taken now, and it seems like more or less the processing centers before you get to the camps are the hospitals. So what you have to be concerned about is I think you need to be looking at the Ramola the video I did. I'm sure there's a connection with it. I would like to answer other things like the bloodlines and that, but it's just too much. Takes too much time. I have 15 minutes here, and it was poor Meegs here. She got her computer fried. They messed with her sub numbers. They cut off her debit card. They've done all kinds of nasty stuff to her. She's messing with her views. She's having a hard time. She's paid dearly for this interview with me. The one thing that I didn't mention that I think is very important that I didn't mention in this interview but was mentioned in the Ramola interview is I was my friend Larry that was he was a Native American tribal attorney, tribal. And I was at a Spirit Lake Indian reservation with him, and one very high-level individual came up and talked about how things real bad are going to happen, things real super bad. And he was more or less having a meltdown. And he said he was working up with the foreign troops up there, and their purpose was to take over the water supply. Now, as you can see with the North Dakota pipeline, they kind of did that. The indication I gave is it was going to be something where they were going to perhaps poison it, maybe nanoparticles. I don't know, black people. I have no idea how they're going to do it, but they're going to take over the water supply. That's what he said. And he said not only that, he was working with the foreign troops and that there were 600,000 of them up there in that area. Now, from what I understand, the impression I was given is they're in deep underground military bases, and it's somewhere between Grand Forks Air Force Base and Minot. Do I know that's the area that encompasses exactly? No, that was the indication that was left because it was left very vague. He didn't tell me exactly, and I think he'd get in a lot of trouble if he did. But he did say that in front of somebody else. And later on, there was this priest that I was looking for up there, and I found the priest later on in the Fargo area. My friend took me to take to him, and I wanted to tell him that story. When I went to tell him the story, and in front of the witness that my friend was there, he had already told me that he had already heard the story of the foreign troops up there. That is nothing new to him. He's very aware of it. And so what they're doing right now, and a lot of what you're seeing, is it looks like there's a crackdown going down. First, they shut down your information. Right now, I try to put comments for people asking to look at the video they did at Ramola D or Meegs and all that, and it gets cut off. And it seems like there's parts missing in my interview, and by the time I did the interview with Meegs, I was just so sick at the end of the day. I've got a bad case of Lyme's and Babesia, and when I was in the hospital, they didn't want to treat me at all. There are certain people that are going on lists, and they got to make sure that they're trying to get rid of them, and it seems like it's been that way for a long time. They got that facility set up like it's a prison. They can now be locked down from the nurses station. They just built a new $500 million facility to treat cancer. So when I was in there, I was chipped without my consent. They put a chip in me, and then what the side effect of these chips? Well, they give you cancer. So now they have a $500 million cancer facility, and God knows how long they've been chipping people. There's evidence they've been doing this since the 1950s to people. Look up, my Lord and My God station has 1 in 3 Americans chipped, and that's a 3-year-old video. And then there's also with RFID chips, which I sent links to Meegs here, and she has that where people find that they're chipped and they're being tortured by these chips, and that's what's happening with me. When you watch my Ramola video, you'll see like sometimes things are going funny with my head and that, and you'll see kind of sparks. I'm getting hit by directed energy weapons through these things, and the chip that they put in my arm at that point in time, I think they were looking at organ harvesting for me. So as I'm moving my arms, and these chips are all over my head and all over my body, some of these are interfering with the frequencies, and as I'm being hit by directed energy at the same time. So that's what you're seeing is when you see funny things with the video, you're watching me being hit with directed energy weapons is what you're seeing, and you're seeing the reaction in the film. Well, it's not film anymore. I had the video. You know, I'm an old person. We had film back in our days. Can you think of anything that's a real question that you need to ask me that makes?
So, do you feel your targeting has increased since we did the interview, like the directed energy attacks that you receive, or have you been feeling worse since we posted that, or is it pretty much?
Initially things got worse, and then it backed off a little.
Yeah.
It backed off a little, but for some reason, it seems like my eyesight's getting worse. So I don't know what's going on there. They mess with you with certain things. Sometimes you get your food poisoned. Sometimes you just get hit knocked with directed energy weapons. You can look and see things like Vulcan, Wolverine, and things like that, and he'll describe, what they're doing to them. And
Wow.
It's nasty. It's pretty hard. It's such a gamut of things that we're going through. They mess with your finances. They try to make you homeless so you don't have a way to fight back with this. And primarily what is happening right now is the reason I'm going forward is this is tying in with the 600,000 troops that are up there. They're here to take over, supposedly, when economic collapse happens. They're getting ready for martial law, it seems like. And so what this 72-hour hold is all of a sudden you can't own a gun if you get put on a 72-hour hold. So 1/3 to 1/2 of the people I estimate that got pulled into Sanford, that's what was happening to them. I was listed that I was a real problem child, and I believed that I was going to be going to the glue factory because on the paperwork, I was already being sentenced to Anoka. They didn't want me to have any witnesses. My lawyer wasn't allowing me to submit any evidence. Basically, he wouldn't return phone calls, so I would have talked to him 5 minutes before the case. And they also, I found out when I got the medical records, they were going to have me forced drugged before the hearing. The doctors lied, and they based their evidence on someone that they knew was mentally ill. They knew it was a complete lie. They fudged the medical records. They actually altered medical tests. They said I didn't have Lyme, that I was just being mentally ill with it. And then you will see that I will show the paper, and I do actually have Lyme disease. I also have babesia, which is a parasite. So they gave me all these diagnoses that I actually that I didn't have in the psychological area, but I had medical problems that they didn't want to accept. So when you look at what's happening, this is about to roll out for everybody. You got to keep in mind: are you a segment of the population that they're going to want to pull up? They're going to deem delusional. Are you like, a conspiracy theorist? Are you like a protester? I don't know. Do you read the Bible and they can show you passages and you think that something else is going to be there? Do you believe in flat Earth? I mean, you pick a topic that is not, which is out of the norm, and all of a sudden you can be labeled delusional, and you'll just be pulled off the street.
Right.
And that's essentially what happened. I went in there with kidney failure, and before I know it, all of a sudden I'm being transferred to an asylum.
Wow.
I got the whole list of things, and they gave me false diagnoses, and they had no problem with it. And it looked like when I came back, when I saw my medical records, that they were going to be harvesting my organs. I suggest you start looking into George Webb's channel, starting on day 82. Now, after the organ harvesting thing, I think it kind of went off the rails and went into a different area, and sometimes they do that to discredit certain people. They give a number of truths, and then all of a sudden you get to a certain point, and then they go off into some wild tangent to discredit everything that they said before. And there's a lot of evidence that this stuff is going on, and the more I'm talking to other people and the more that they're coming forward, they are finding that this is becoming more and more prevalent is with the organ trade is going on, and this seems to be tying in with hospitals.
Wow.
And we also would tie with underground facilities. And I got into that with some of the interview that I did, but some of it's not too well. And you can see some of their, like, as you're filming me, I'm getting these flashes, and you can actually see, like, as I'm getting hit by directed energy weapons. That's what you're seeing when all of a sudden it's like, boom, something kind of goes funny with the photography. I'm getting buzzed in the head. I'm getting a zap.
Wow. Wow. Do you get hit with directed energy weapons? How often? How often? Is it every day for you?
Oh, constantly, all day long.
Oh.
Basically, especially at night when you're sleeping, I can actually go outside and I can see low-flying drones all over around the perimeter of the area. I mean, other people have commented on it as well. I'm sure I'm not the only one it's for. But as you go into Dr. John Hall, this is called satellite harassment. Now, what most people have to understand is virtually everyone, if you've been to a dentist since 1950, or if you've been to a doctor since 1950, or if you were born in a hospital, odds are that you are chipped now. Virtually everyone is chipped. The difference is your chip is not turned on. And all of a sudden, when you're viewed as you're a dissident, all of a sudden, as soon as 5G rolls out, all of a sudden everybody's going to be turned on, and this is going to be crazy.
Wow. It already is so crazy, isn't it, Kimberly? Because we're sitting here. I got a burner phone just to be able to record you because they hacked my laptop, and it's just like everything that you're saying happens to you, like is happening to you, is correct, and they're trying to censor you, and they're doing a pretty darn good job of it. And you're saying anybody you talk to notices the audio hacking on your phone, and it creeps them out, and they want to distance themselves from you. I've heard that now since talking to you a couple times. I've heard your audio glitch out, and even like a voice that isn't yours, like a male voice that just like popping in, and it's just like, this is incredible, the extent to which we're sort of being censored, the heights that we have to go to get this information out. And it's like,
well, not only that, if I try to leave a comment on YouTube, like a couple minutes later, it'll be removed.
Right.
If somebody tries to leave a comment on the Ramola video that I did, all of a sudden I can't leave a comment anymore because I was banned because she put a Swerdlow video out, and I don't think the answer to anything is a new world order, let alone a gentleman who has dubious ties, shall we say, with the death of Max Spears, which has kind of a very sensitive tone to the TI community. And when I wrote "Long Live Max Spears" on there, all of a sudden it was banned from the station. Swerdlow is not exactly someone that I support, where all of a sudden he's just like, everything will be great if you just raise your frequency. I'd be interested if, the problem with the Jews is they went into the ovens because their frequency wasn't high enough. I don't quite agree with that. We're staring at a reality that's about to come down our face that a lot of people aren't really prepared for. And people, you got to prepare yourself for it. And if somebody goes in the hospital, odds are they better not go on their own, because you may go in for a paper cut and then you may be ending up in a 72-hour hold. There was this one gentleman, Bill King. He does a station dealing with Morgellons. He did a thing where all of a sudden people were contacting him all over the world saying this is a secret genocide, and then lo and behold, YouTube took that down. He said people were calling him all over the world, that all of a sudden they went into the hospital, and then they were like on the list, and all of a sudden they got pulled in and they were trying to be sectioned. You need to listen to my story and find out how outrageous it was and what was happening to the people that were in there. One of the guys that I met in there was actually a former military guy, and he said there were 8 fully operational camps in this country right now.
FEMA camps, right?
Yes, and he said that was last April. These homeless people aren't missing for any reason. I think about what's happening in California, and they say, okay, we're going to give them a voucher to a hotel. What hotel is that? Hotel FEMA? I'd like to know.
Right. Right.
People are disappearing all over the place. We don't know what's happening. Deborah Tavares is right. You do not want to be traveling alone right now. You do not want all of a sudden somebody pick you up for questioning. Pretty soon the troops that are going to be in there, you aren't going to realize that they're foreign troops because they're wearing American uniforms and they don't have accents.
Right. So again, I just want to reiterate, if you guys didn't get that from the interview, Kimberly met someone that said there were 8 fully operational FEMA camps already in the U.S. that he knew of. And he